Hello, I'm Cindy, and today I'm going to be bringing to you a writing how-to series, starting with one that I'm entitling The Math of Writing because it deals with the numbers we find in story structure. There are three acts in a story. Your story, as every other story, has a beginning, a middle, and an ending. Act one is the story's setup. Act two is where the stakes are raised and the characters are developed, and Act three is the story resolution. This is the same for every novel. While the total number of words will vary depending upon the genre for which you're writing, I will be using the overall word count of 90,000 words in the illustration. For a novel of that size, 90,000 words, the first 25%, which takes you to the first plot point, is about 20,000 words. The middle would then be 50,000 words, or 50% of the total, and the ending would then be 25% of the total, and would then be 20,000 words. You can divide these into smaller writing chunks for easier time and writing management by writing them into scenes. Think of a scene as a chunk of words containing anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 words apiece. For a novel of this size, you pretty much want them to be 1,500 to do the math I'm using um, for a novel of 90,000 words. So that would be about 60 scenes to complete your first draft. If you're writing toward the lofty 50,000 word monthly goal for either NaNoWriMo in November or Camp NaNoWriMo in the spring or summer months, the scene length can be modified to 1667 words daily to keep that daily par by using dialogue or exposition. Now, the beginning of your story or your setup should include about 13 to 15 scenes. So to make it simple, let's say it's 15 scenes. Within those scenes, there are 5 core scenes you must have. These are essential to the story flow, while the other 10 scenes of the beginning can be filled with world and story details and dialogue to round out your characters and their lives. The middle part will contain about 30 scenes, and the ending contains the remaining 15 scenes for a grand total of 60 scenes. As in the beginning, there were 5 scenes must be included in your middle and 5 scenes in your story's end. The other scenes are designed to flesh out your story. Now, the middle of the story is a little different than your beginning or your ending, in that the middle has so much going on. It is the largest portion of your story. It is where uh, an author can easily get lost and where the story can fall apart. It's the part of the novel that comes with its own enter and risk sign. The middle of the story could be divided further into 2 halves for easier consumption. Each half will now have about 25,000 words, or about 15 scenes each. Okay, this brings your story through a total of 15 core scenes, and you can continue fleshing out your scenes with the additional 45 scenes, taking care not to lose your basic storyline in the details. Raise your hand if you've ever done that. No, wait. Okay, if you want to estimate your daily writing time spent, simply track your time writing over 5 days. Take that total minutes of writing and divide it by 5 and do the same with your daily word count. So if you were to write for an hour a day over 5 days, probably nobody's going to do exactly that, but your total word counts for a 5-day period if it were equal, would be 300 words. And okay, that would be 1,500 words over an hour of daily writing. Keeping that pace, a scene a day would be amazing. But you can further divide it into smaller chunks of writing sprints, which I do all the time. Time manage it. 15 minutes each instead of trying to write a 1,500 word goal or 1667, as I do for NaNoWriMo. In an hour's time, you try writing a 300 word sprint in a bite sized chunk of 15 minutes. 6 of those 15-minute writing sprints of about 300 words would easily give you 1,800 words of 90 minutes of writing. Another consideration is that you really don't need to do the sprints back to back. If for life's hectic pace, you need to make things a little bit smaller to get other things done, you can feel free to do something else for a few minutes in between. Now, I was looking at something that Jerry Jenkins wrote about time management, and of course, his recommendation is to block off um, a couple of hours and sit down and write. But most of us will have to be trying to get everything else done too. And especially if you're not practiced at the art of managing time and focusing, if you need smaller appointments with yourself, a 15-minute word sprint, and then go do something else is a good way to uh, learn to manage the time, and then it will build to sitting down for an hour and a shot, or 2 hours, or an evening. Uh, and I find that by doing this, I get so much else done. So for example, if I sit down to a 15-minute word sprint, or maybe it's a 20-minute word sprint, and then I go put the load of laundry in the dryer, or let the dog out. I'll come back in and do another writing sprint, and then go check on dinner. Something along those lines. Just get a drink of water or something, whatever works. Okay. Now, I find it valuable because it brings balance, and then I don't feel overwhelmed. But don't beat yourself up if you fall short here or there, or if you find that your writing chunk is smaller. Maybe it needs to at first. Remember that every word written in is more than you wrote yesterday. Start small and practice the delicate art of dedication to the craft, and I promise you, the word count will come if you commit to developing a basic habit of writing, starting small and building up as you find the time.